Hello and good morning. It is Friday, the 26th of May, 2023. We're almost halfway through. Yeah, this is insane. So welcome to Labour Social. This is Morning Brew. We have this every morning, every weekday morning at 9:30. It's either going to be me presenting on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, or Phil presenting on Tuesdays and Monday, Wednesday, Friday is me. Tuesday, Thursday is Phil. I hope you can see me. I hope you can hear me. Today, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about immigration. That thing that was the most important thing in all the world ever a few years ago. But now it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't, honestly, it doesn't matter. No one cares. No one cares anymore. Shut up. Shut up about immigration. No one cares about immigration. It's not an important issue. It was the big thing that drove the EU referendum. You know, we didn't want people coming over here from other places. And now we've left the EU. We don't have to have people coming from other places, because that's why we left. Because there was a big poster and it had like a line of people, all of whom were not white, saying breaking point with all these people coming from all over the world. And 1.2 million people came last year. 1.2 million people. 1.2 million people. That's over 1% of our population. We're looking like we're going to overtake France in terms of population over the next year, couple of years. We're going to overtake France for the first time in history, I think. Is it the first time in history? I think it is. So don't forget, when they give out these figures and say, oh, it was only 606,000 people, net migration. No, that's net. That's net. So you've got to have the number of people who came here, and then you take away the number of people who left, which was about 600,000 for each. Sorry, it was 1.2 million who came here, and then 600,000 people left. And those people who left, possibly some of our brightest and best. Yeah, half of them maybe probably voted for Brexit. They voted to stop you and me leaving this island, but they were all right. They're doing it. I'm all right, Jack. I can go and live somewhere else. I've got the money. If you've got the money, you can live anywhere in the world. You honestly can just go anywhere, pretty much. You can go anywhere in the world if you've got enough money and will, and you really want to live there. I mean, there's a lot of countries you probably want to actually live. North Korea, Russia at the moment, come on. But that's it. We've had 1.2 million under the Tories. The Tories that we're going to control immigration. They said in 2010 we're going to control immigration. In 2015 they said we're going to control immigration. In 2017, Theresa May ran on a platform of getting the numbers of people coming here down to the tens of thousands. It's now 1.2 million. Hey, I don't mind. I like having people from all over the world here. It makes it more interesting for me. But those people who voted Brexit to keep people out, how must they feel now? I mean, how stupid must they? I mean, I don't know. There's a massive Dunning-Kruger effect going on, and they don't really feel stupid about anything. But if I was them, I'd feel pretty stupid. I'd feel pretty conned. I would feel like I've been absolutely duped by the people in charge. Because don't forget, it's not like there was a Conservative government that made Brexit happen, and then another government came in and opened the gates to anyone who wanted to come here. No, that wasn't it. And also, when we talk about gates opening, drops in the ocean, things like that, the fact that this Tory government is absolutely obsessed with the tiny number of people coming across in small boats, comparative to the number of people who are literally migrating here legally, I guess, because Boris Johnson made it easier to come here. Boris Johnson got rid of a load of requirements. He brought in a points-based system, but the points-based system is almost laughably easy to use to get in. It's like, right, we're going to have a points-based system. Okay, great, that's going to solve everything. Like, how many points do you need to get in? 2. Okay, and what are the 2 things? You need to have a name, and you need to be alive, and you get 2 points. Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, we'll be over there then. We've still got massive skills shortages, and the Tories' response to this is, well, we need to get more British people picking fruit. That's the future that the Tories, these rancid old millionaires who all went to private school, that's the future that they want for your kids and your grandkids. They want them picking fruit. They don't want them traveling the world. They don't want them living the life that they want to live. They want them picking fruit. You saw that horrible Anne Widdecombe on the TV last week. She was on the TV saying, oh, well, if you can't afford a cheese sandwich, you shouldn't have a cheese sandwich. Which is, it's like laughably callous. It's just beyond any kind of human reason or emotion, or like, why would anyone say that? But this is what the Tories have done to us. So it's not the fault of the Tories allowing 1.2 million people into the country. I don't mind that. It is the fault, literally the fault. It is the fault. It's the fault of a small number of people coming across in boats. Something that didn't happen before 2018. Something that didn't happen when we were part of the Dublin Agreement, which meant that we could send people back if they tried to come over here in boats. We could send them back to France. We can't do that anymore. So now when people come over here, we say, "Oh, you shouldn't be here." We're just basically keeping them in a holding pen in a hotel, or maybe on a floating barge for months, if not years, while we process their claim. And do you know how many claims got processed last year? F all. I can't say the real word because, it's early. Anyway, send a super chat and Graham will read it out, says Reagan Elite, without sending a super chat. Absolutely, Reagan Elite. I honestly agree. Sorry, I just looked at my comments and that was the first one that came up. So let's dive into the chat. Sorry, I just wanted to say, for the papers, this is quite interesting. So these figures have come out and they're quite devastating for the government that said it was going to get control of migration. It's going to stop uncontrolled migration. So the controlled migration means more people coming here than the uncontrolled migration. I don't really understand it myself. But the Mirror leads with no control, no compassion, immigration, chaos, incompetent Tories. That's the word of the year, isn't it? Word of the decade. Word of the last 13 years. Incompetent. Incompetent Tories fail over immigration as record numbers come to the UK. One Angry Pagan has been a member for 1 month. Well done, One Angry Pagan. My shield at your back, Graham. Down with the Tories. Indeed, we need to destroy them. They need to go. That's the reason this channel exists, is to help that process. I'm not saying we're going to be the thing that does it. Do you know what I mean? But we're going. I'm in our small little. We're going to have a little small part in the downfall. Us all together. Everyone watching this. Everyone leaving a chat. We're going to have our part in the downfall of the Tories, which is really funny. If someone leaves a comment that's like obviously a bot or someone who's like a Tory, I always respond by going, "Oh, thank you. You've added to my metrics of views, and that will help me get future funding and ensure that the Labour win a landslide election in the next election." And then they leave me alone. They never come back to that. It's quite funny. Anyway, so the Daily Mail, of course, doesn't lead on migration, doesn't even mention it anywhere on the front page. It just talks about people at the Chelsea flower show throwing orange powder. Yep, because that's the worst thing that's happening in the world at the moment. The Guardian is leading with Braverman to deport 3,000 asylum seekers each month because she's just the worst. And there's a quite disturbing story in the Daily Telegraph, which I don't think people have been talking about, is basically mortgage rates have shot up amid bond chaos. Borrowing costs reach levels not seen since Truss mini budget in blow to homeowners. So there you go. The Tories taking out the homeowners as well. They've taken everyone else out. They're taking out the renters, taking out the people who work, they're taking out the people who don't work, they're taking out the people who want to go somewhere, they're taking out the people who want to stay here. Now they're going after the homeowners. You know, they took out enough old people when they put a ring of, a ring of protection around the care homes around the UK. No, it wasn't a ring of protection. It was a ring of COVID. It was literally a ring of those little balls, those little spiky balls of COVID. And it just, they tightened the little ring until literally 20,000 old people died of COVID. And the Tories did that. The Tories, the people who are in charge of this country right now, they did that. So please, tell me why these people should be in power anymore. I don't think they should be. I don't think that they should be walking the streets. I think these people should be in jail. I think they should be put on trial for their crimes and put in jail. And I'm told that's not a popular thing to say in politics, because what's to stop the next people coming along and putting the last people in jail? Yeah. Well, do you know what? If the next people commit crimes, then I'm happy for them to go to jail. There is literally no one on this planet who I will defend in the face of irrefutable evidence that they have committed a crime. A case in point, Rolf Harris, who popped his clogs a couple of weeks ago, we only found out this week, he was a childhood hero of mine. I loved Rolf's cartoon time. I thought he was a top bloke. I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. I didn't have the information. Once I did, I dropped in like a hot stone. Why wouldn't I? Why would I continue to defend him? And yet we've got all these Musk stands, these Elon Musk stands, and something I want to get back onto Elon Musk in a moment, but let me just say first, you got all these people who are like Trump stands or Corbyn stands, and they can't see that their person, their man, it's usually a man, isn't it? That they're obsessed over isn't quite up to scratch. Is the problems that are there that are just always diminished and always made excuses for. And throughout my campaigning for us to stay in the EU, and I've been regular viewers will know how much I did, but some new people might not know. But I organised rallies, I organised marches, I emceed at the first big London march in 2017. That was me. And all through that, we got no support from the Labour Party whatsoever, apart from individual MPs. We never got any support from the party. It was just individual MPs like Louise Elwood in Liverpool and Luciana Berger in Liverpool. And yeah, Liverpool MPs are the best, who both left because of Corbyn. But I don't want to get sidetracked into talking about that side of the issue. But I didn't get any support from the top. And it almost felt like they were laughing at us by going off on a trip to Morecambe on a day that 1 million people were marching against the Tories' flagship policy. So when I sound a little bit bitter about what happened in the Brexit wars, then that's probably one of the reasons. But if anyone commits a crime or one of the things I'll also say as well. So for instance, Kevin Spacey, I don't think he's actually been found guilty of a crime. But here is my riposte to that. If it's not true, sue the people saying it for defamation in a civil court. They won't. If they don't do that and they're a millionaire, then look, just put 2 and 2 together. I know you want to be good, and I know you want to think, well, innocent until proven guilty. But to me, that proves they're guilty. Because if they've got the money to take someone to court for making accusations like that, which have obviously destroyed their careers. Do you know what I mean? Do you know? Anyway, Reagan Elite, send a super chat and Graham will read it out. £2 super chat from Reagan Elite. Thank you very much, sir. We've also got One Angry Pagan. Human migration is natural to our species. Our oh, God. You're making me work this morning, aren't you, One Angry Pagan? Paleontological and archaeological. My God. I feel like I've swallowed too many big words at once. I'm having problems swallowing. Evidence is undeniable and should be part of the argument. Easy for you to say, but yes, I think you're absolutely right. We are supposed to migrate. That's what we do. Stephanie says, I was one of those million marchers. Thank you, Graham. It was an amazing day. Yeah, I didn't organise that one, by the way, Stephanie. But yeah, I was there at all of the marches. And I couldn't make it to the first Rejoin march, which took place, I think, earlier this year. Was it earlier? No, it was last year, wasn't it? So there was a march, and I was going to go to it, and then the Queen died, and then they rescheduled it for a week that I just couldn't make it down to London that week. Anyway, so so anyway, I was just going to go through the papers quickly, where I just mentioned that the Mail doesn't even cover migration at all. The Eye leads with UK population set to overtake France for the first time on record. And the Daily Express, just the weirdest headline. I mean, the Daily Express is a weird newspaper read by weirdos who, they're weirdos. Anyway, I don't want to go into that too much. But yeah, Daily Express goes, Rishi, as if he's saying it, I get it. You want migration down. Could you imagine? And this is my point about Labour not getting away with stuff like the Tories do. Could you imagine if it was a Labour government and 1.2 million people had come to this country? Could you imagine? Could you just have a think about that for a moment? 1.2 million people come to the country in 1 year under a Labour government. What do you think the Express says? Starmer, I get it. You want migration down. Yeah, no, it's really, really not going to say that at all. Phonebox Chicken says, at a genetic level, immigration is good for the population. We know of villages and towns where they're all cousins and ex-partners. Yes, Phonebox Chicken, you're absolutely right. And, interestingly, there's been studies into communicable cancers, right? And it's very, 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 very insanely rare in humans, but it has been seen to happen in populations where the gene pool is very, very, very small. I'm thinking pedigree dogs. The genes of, say, a pedigree bulldog, which would cost thousands of pounds to buy, are so inbred, there isn't the variety of genes that you need to basically let your body know that the cancer cells that's just come in your body aren't your body, you see. Because if your DNA is so similar to another person's DNA, there's a chance that you could basically, you know, get cancer off them, communicable, like a virus, but it's cancer. And that's what happens when you stay in your village and marry your sister. Mm. Vendetta, I posted an idea on your previous video. Did you see it? I might have done Vendetta. Could you remind me? Just let me know in the chat what it was. You don't need to be beyond reasonable doubts in the court of opinion. We have to make our own assessments. That's very true as well. Just depends who he wants to be seen credible to. I'm not sure the headline is correct. That's from RC. Inbreeding and be talking about Mog. Possibly. I mean, one of the things I hate about Mog is like his dad was a truck driver. Sorry, his granddad was a truck driver. He's like the neo aristocracy. He's not real. He's not old money. He's new money. A lot of the real aristocrats would look down on him. You know, as a bit gaudy, a bit tacky, a bit Great Gatsby. You know, you're new money. You don't count. We're only interested in old money around here. So yeah, it's one of those people who, you know, like religious converts who try really, really hard, like harder than the people who were born into the religion to really, you know, be zealous about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what he is, because he's not really part of the aristocracy, but he was brought up as if he was, because his dad had a lot of money and he went to Eton, etc., etc. Bulldogs have far worse problems than that. Just breeding can be a significant issue because of overbreeding. Really sad state of affairs for the breed. Yeah, Patrick, I know. And is it Cocker Spaniels? Is it Cocker Spaniels or King Charles Spaniels? I think. If you get a pure breed, there's a problem where a lot of the time their brains are too big for their skulls, so they just constantly have a migraine in their life. That's it. All they know is pain. Purebred dogs are cruel. I mean, I'm not gonna derail the chat here to talk about how cruel pedigree breeding is. But for instance, Rhodesian Ridgebacks, that ridge is basically scoliosis. I mean, it's a deformity that they have. And when a lot of breeders, not all breeders, hashtag not all breeders, but some breeders will kill pups that don't have the deformity because they're worthless to them. They weren't even given to a good home. And is it Alsatians that have that slope going down the back, and obviously that creates back problems, osteoporosis, I think, in Alsatians. I'm purebred Alsatians, and the pure breeding cult is insane, and what they do to dogs is horrific. And anyone who's watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3 should be with me on this one. Like, you don't experiment on animals like that. You know, dogs to that degree are animal experimentation, where you're getting the granddaughters to breed with their grandfathers and things like that to ensure the pureness of the breed. Yeah, it's cruelty on another level. It is absolutely cruelty. And we're not going to get derailed into a conversation about this, but you're not going to dissuade me from that opinion, because I just think it's horrific what breeders do. Hashtag some breeders, not all breeders, but some breeders are yeah. I think there's a problem with it all as well. I mean, the fact that Crufts, I don't know if they do this now, but they never used to take in the health of the dog into account. It was all about the look of the dog that would win Crufts, and that's not great. I would rather have a healthy mongrel than a very, very sick and in pain animal that we had created from the Asiatic grey wolf. Yeah, we did that. Yeah. Anyway, one angry pagan, Doctor Who or no Doctor Who? If yes, which one and why? Doctor Who, obviously. Why would I not want Doctor Who? I love Doctor Who. It's the 60th year of Doctor Who this year. And was it the first Beatles album? Doctor Who and JFK all got shot on the same day. Can someone check that for me? I think it was the 22nd of November, 1963. It was like JFK got shot. They showed the first episode of Doctor Who, which they had to do again, because back in those days, they didn't really have tape to no, they couldn't. Sorry, they did it. They could replay stuff. They could film it and replay it, but everything was done live. And because of the Actors Guild's deal with television at the time, if you wanted to do a rerun, you had to stage the show again. So because no one watched the first episode of Doctor Who because everyone was finding out that the president of the United States had just been shot in Dallas, California, Dallas, Texas. Just moving to another state. Yeah, it was. They had to do the whole thing again a week later. True story. Anyway, we're getting you Kipper's on his side. Marg is doing politics for laughs. He doesn't have to work. Never has. Hey, no spoilers. What was that about Doctor Who? No, oh, sorry. That might be about um, Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on, Graham. We'll uplift dogs sooner or later. 100%. Indeed. Most of the aristocracy are at it like a bunch of hamsters. That's a flip mean. Hip dysplasia is a major problem in pedigree dogs. You could suffer for hours on the problems, all the problems these poor beasts suffer. I know, Stephanie. Honestly, there was a BBC documentary. It was a good while ago. It's probably about 10 years ago, where it was called like something like the problem with pedigree dogs, and it's just horrible. And one of the things that I always feel about sort of our relationship with dogs, we say that dogs are our best friends. We don't treat them like our best friends. And a lot of the time, I feel like dogs are mistreated. Not, I mean, obviously, there are millions of people out there who treat their animals really, really well. But the problem with dogs is that if you had a cat, for instance, and you didn't feed it or you abused it, there's a good chance the cat would just piss off and go and stay at someone else's house. Whereas a dog will just give you undying love no matter what you do to it. And I think there are some people out there who genuinely shouldn't have dogs. And yeah, I wouldn't object to bringing back dog licenses. I know that might seem a bit mad. Like, why do you? I mean, it was always a joke, wasn't it? Where in America you didn't need a license to have a gun, but in the UK you needed to have a license to have a dog and a television, or go fishing. But yeah, I would. I think we could have a conversation about this. I really do think we could have a conversation about bringing back dog licenses for the safety of the pets, to make sure that people who don't treat their pets well don't get to keep them. Hi Graham. Yes, read the first Doctor Who. I was a youngster at the time, but remember the first program had to reshown because of JFK's assassination. Just isn't that fast? But they didn't reshow the first episode. They actually did it again. They performed the whole thing again, which I just find remarkable. Would you consider getting policy experts on this channel to talk about progressive ways to solve issues such as immigration, etc.? Guy, yes, absolutely. We have a show on this channel called The Agenda. We've also got Hard Labour as well, in which we do talk about sort of more pressing matters. One of the things I want to do with growing this channel is not just have me as a presenter, because although I'm okay at the live stuff like this, I'm absolutely awful at interviews unless they're kind of like candid in the pub, just having a chat interviews, because I find it very hard, and it's just my personality, and you can't help the way you are. I tend to want to lift the situation in any given situation with a bit of levity, and it might come across as being flippant if we're talking about really serious topics. So it's a difficulty for me, but I hope in the next few months, if we get some more people who would like to present on this channel and would like to host on this channel, to create stuff for us. And talking about that, Labour Social, I replied above. That's from Vendetta. Hang on, Vendetta. Hang on. Whoa, I'm looking about getting some notable lawyers together for a live chat about how to go about locking up Tory crims, high treason, theft, fraud, murder, damage to their country. Yeah. Now, I wouldn't be able to get this to Vendetta. He's had this idea about getting lawyers on to talk about how we could go about suing the Tories, essentially. Now, I don't know Julian Marn, so I won't be able to I could probably get to him, but whether he wants to talk about that, because usually he doesn't want to. Well, what I've seen on Twitter when people say, "I'll put the Tories in jail," that's not his MO. He doesn't say, "Let's put them in jail." He just tries to, one thing at a time, make sure that the government continues to be legal. Gina Miller as well. I don't think she has much interest in literally locking up the Tories. Rob Rinder, Judge Rinder would be a really good person to get on this channel. I think if I was going to have a chat with Robert, then it would be just about other stuff. It wouldn't necessarily be about locking up the government. I'll tell you who might be good, though. George Revel, who was, he is a Canadian lawyer who, well, he's Canadian, he's British Canadian. He lives over here, and we interviewed him when we were doing the Three Blokes in the Pub I think it was like who was it? I think it was me, Jason, Adam, and George did a three blokes in the pub. So it was four blokes. But yeah, we there was actually one. There was I'm gonna just share this with you. Just me and the 352 people watching this. Um, there were a few episodes of Three Blokes in the Pub that never got aired because we were too drunk. And when I watched it back the next day to edit it, I was just like, no, I can't put that on. Anyway, no, George would be he's a constitutional lawyer, so he could be really good about to do that. So I'm gonna make a little note, okay? I'm gonna make a little note to say contact George because he has said that he'll be quite up for getting on this channel. So I'll literally just write his name down, George Rebel. Brilliant. Okay, right. Done. You're on, Vendetta. Let's have that conversation. And Flint Reeds is just throwing in £5 just because. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Stephanie says, I remember Keir Starmer has a long and distinguished career as a prosecutor. Yeah, he does. Yeah, it's true, Stephanie. It would be good if that's the route he went down. Maybe we could do a deal where we say, step down after the after the next election and just prosecute all the Tories for us, please. But he's not the head of the Crown Prosecution Service anymore, though, is he? In the early days of TV, the signal from a TV camera couldn't be recorded. Pre-recorded shows had to be recorded to film, so a completely different setup. That's from Ned. Yeah, exactly. But the fact that they had to restage the whole episode was more to do with the actors' rights at the time. You weren't allowed to have repeats, and that's one of the reasons that they destroyed a lot of the tapes from back then that they had made. And what's particularly frustrating is that there were copies. There were copies of all of these Doctor Who episodes that went missing, and Steptoe and Son, and everything else. There were copies of them made and sent out around the Commonwealth. What's that? The Commonwealth. To show on local stations, and they were told to destroy. They were sent out on film, I believe, like canisters of film, and they were told to destroy the film after showing it. So they could only show it once, and then they were contractually obliged to burn the film. So these lost episodes of Doctor Who, there might have been literally 100 copies of it around the world, but they all got destroyed. And it was really interesting. I once had a dream of going around the world hunting down Doctor Who episodes with my mate Dan. It's going to be a great plan of mine after the Odyssey expedition. It's really funny because one of the I wrote up a pitch. I have this habit of writing up pitches, and I wrote up a pitch, and one of the places that I said to go to would be Nigeria. And literally 2 years later, there was a load of episodes of Doctor Who, the missing episodes, found in the town of Jos in Nigeria. And it was one of the places that I identified as somewhere to check out the archives there, because a lot of these places think, they don't have time to go and burn a bloody bit of film. They just put it in the cupboard and say, oh, there you go. We'll come back to the next time. Maggie Pie, thank you for the 20 Swedish krona. Woo! Something you need to address, as is your media. Yes, my media is pretty awful in this country. But I have subtitles now. I should have told you that we've got the captions working, I hope. But what it can do with my Scouse accent is anyone's guess. Right. We are coming up to 10 o'clock now, so I'm going to wrap up soon. We talked a little bit about migration. We talked a bit about pedigree dogs and prosecuting the Tories. So, but what I was going to circle back to is on Wednesday night, there was the launch of Ron DeSantis, who's this little, he's like a Trump mini-me, but he's somehow more evil than Dr. Evil. He's Trump with a modicum of competency. The best thing about Trump, the only good thing about that horrible, horrible sack of orange blancmange is that he's incompetent. And the same with Boris Johnson as well. You can say the same thing. His only redeeming quality is that he is incompetent. So when he says he'll do something, he doesn't usually get it done. Or if he does get it done, it's a botched operation. It's a half-assed operation. It doesn't, that fence that they built for a mile that people can just walk around. Yeah, that'll stop them. Woo! Yeah. But Ron DeSantis launches presidential bid. And instead of doing it on Fox News which a lot of his supporters would watch. This is Ron DeSantis. He's gone to war with Disney. He is on a war against trans people. He's on a war against women, especially pregnant women. He wants them to die if that's God's will. He's an absolute fruitcake nutter. He is a psychopath. He shouldn't be allowed anywhere near the levers of power. But and his slogan is "Make America Florida." Yeah, type in Florida man and your date of birth into Google. See what comes up. Yeah, let's make it all America like Florida man. Anyway, he launched not on CNN, not on Fox, not even on OAN. No, he launched on Twitter. On Twitter Spaces? Okay, who advised him to do that? But then there's a thing where sometimes when I'm doing these live shows, and I have done 1,000 live shows now, right? I've produced 1,000 live shows over the last few years. And sometimes something will go wrong. Like I will press go live and my computer will just crash. I've had the blue screen of death come up to me, come on my laptop as I've pressed go live. I'm using free software to do this. YouTube YouTube is free to use. I'm using OBS to put these graphics on here. That's all free to use. This microphone here was donated to me by Daffyd, one of our viewers. Thanks, Daffyd. The sound system that I use was donated by Camel, who lives over in Singapore. These monitors that I'm looking at were donated by my brother, who works in IT, and he went, "Do you want a couple of monitors?" And I'm like, "Yeah." The desktop PC that I'm using is Phil's. It's Phil Morehouse's old gaming PC, and that allows me to do this. The camera that I'm using, I got for doing a trip around Europe, where I tried to go to every country in Europe. So basically a freebie camera. And it's got a pizza box on top of it to stop glare coming in. And it's on an old tripod, which is 20 years old. My old Manfrotto tripod, which is over 20 years old. And so basically this is and I've got a little blanket over the top of the camera. And when I want to do a auto cue, I use my phone for the auto cue. That's why sometimes when you see me reading off an auto cue, I'm like squinting at the camera because it's quite hard to see because the words are really small on the screen, and they're quite faded as well because I can't get the brightness up to what you would have in a studio. All of these things, and I'm in the spare bedroom, so people come into this room sometimes and they're like, they see the camera and they see the beds and they're like, "What is going on in here, Graham?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is where I do my YouTube stuff." And yet, I have never, ever, ever had a situation in which I was going to do a live show in which it's taken 25 minutes to get everything sorted. Even if everything has gone wrong on at 9:30 or whatever time I said, "Let's go," and it's all gone wrong, I've managed to get things with the free software and the freebies that I'm using. I've managed to get it working. I mean, look at the mouse. I just want to show you the mouse that I'm using. This is a 1990s Microsoft mouse. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, how can I do it, right? I'm the richest man in the world who owns Twitter. Can't get it right. So for the first 25 minutes on the Twitter Spaces thing, where Ron DeSantis was launching his big presidential bid, you couldn't hear it. They were saying, "Oh, we're having problems here." It was like being on a bad Zoom call with your nan, and she doesn't really know what's happening. When we had COVID and you had to talk to your family members using video chat, and for the first few weeks it was painful. You're on mute. And this is the richest man in the world. He owns Twitter. It is his platform. He's not just turning up and using it like what we are here on YouTube. Thank you very much, YouTube. Stop taking off your super chats, you bastards. I mean, like, seriously, what the hell? Anyway, so I just had to mention that because I just find it absolutely hilarious that we have built this city on rock and roll. And we built this studio up just on bits and pieces that have been donated over the years, and yet. We do a better job. I'm going to say this now. We do a better job on this channel than Elon Musk does on Twitter. Which, don't forget as well, like, Twitter isn't used very much because it gets talked about in the news a lot more than other social media platforms. Doesn't get, it gets a lot more amplitude from people, famous people tweeting. But the reality is more people use Facebook, more people use Instagram, more people use YouTube, more people use TikTok, and more people use Pinterest. More people use Pinterest every day than they use Twitter. More people use Reddit every day than they use Twitter. Twitter is really, in terms of social media, it's still a minnow. It's nowhere near as big as the others. And that's who he chose to launch it on. I mean, these people are idiots. Go see Glass Onion. If you haven't watched it yet, go and get a copy of Glass Onion and watch it. Because you've got to understand, these people are idiots. They haven't got a clue. And when you see people like Rishi Sunak, one of the richest men in the world, 700 million he's worth at least, maybe 800 million now. He earns more in a minute just by being alive than you'll earn in a year, pretty much. He's very rich. He's insanely rich. And yet he doesn't know how to put fuel in his car. He doesn't know how to pay on a card. Because he has little people do that for him. These people don't live in the real world. They're not relatable. They've got nothing to do with you and me. Don't hero worship them. Most of them are scum, and most of them are absolute bloody idiots. Anyway, enough of that. Describing the tech is breaking the immersion again. Graham, stop killing the magic lads, says Flint Mead. Well, one of the things that I'm going to add in the backdrop here is going to be I'm going to get like an animated background. It's going to look like a studio. When people come on here, like, oh my God, it's got a proper studio. It's going to be like, okay, got to make it. It's all good. Oh, by the way, if anyone uses Photoshop, you can now download a new version of Photoshop that's got generative AI. It's one of those big words again. That allows you to just select a bit of the picture and say, change it in some way. Put some trees here. I managed to make a beautiful picture of one of my friends riding Battle Cat out of He-Man, holding up the World Cup, and the Battle Cat was standing on a burning Old Trafford. Sent that over to him the other day. He was chuffed, and I was like, "Yes, generative AI." You just like, you basically just lasso a section of the picture, and you just go, "We'll have a discussion. We'll have a proper discussion about AI one day." Because I'm feeling like I felt when the internet first started taking off in about 97, 98. This is before This is before Google. Google only was founded in 98, where it was like, this could be a useful tool, or it could be a weapon. And we've found with the internet that a lot of tools have turned it into a weapon. But yes, a weapon for manipulating tools into doing daft things. Anyway, right, look, I've chundered on far too much. Maggie Pie, thank you very much for the 20 Swedish krona there. Selden's book, Boris couldn't reconnect to Zoom. Yes, Maggie. So I think I mentioned this before, but basically, he would have, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 iPads, because if he lost connection, he didn't know how to reconnect. So he would just pick up another iPad. These people have no street smarts. They have no skills. They have no intelligence. They are trained like circus seals to balance a ball on their nose, but they don't really know what they're doing. They're just trained from birth to give a non-answer to any question that's ever asked them. Would you like cornflakes for breakfast, dear? Well, you see, the thing is, you're asking me if I want cornflakes for breakfast, but the reality is that we are getting on with the job of delivering for the British people. And you talking about cornflakes is just playing politics. We could do a whole sketch on this, couldn't we? Like, politician child, you ask them a question and they're just like, well... you know when someone answers a question with the word well, you're not going to get an answer out of the idiots. Latest news on Ginger is from Andrew Ray. Ginger Island is doing all right. Ishmael is still living there with his family, and we have some Airbnbers who should be arriving on the 1st, which is next week. I think Monday or something. It's going well. It's going well, and I'd like to get back over there soon. And also Marcus Allshort, if anyone followed us when we were over there about a year and a half ago, he's been kicked off YouTube for a week, and he's asked if he can do something with us on Labour Social. So Oh no, I offered. No, I think I offered. I said, "Come on, Labour Social." So hopefully we might have a special edition of me and Marcus just talking about I don't know, the news, ginger, whatever we want to talk about, which we might do over the weekend. So look out for that. I'll schedule it. I'll schedule it so you know it. Right, I will be back at 1 o'clock with Phil for the agenda, where we're gonna have a bit more of a serious conversation about what's been going on this week. I just generally sit there and let Phil talk because he knows more than I do. But yeah, so come back here 1 o'clock today to go and watch. To watch, not go and watch, but to watch Phil on the old agenda. The old agenda. I missed the late 90s and early 2000s in the tech world before social media. Lol. Oh, we had our own, didn't we? We had bulletin boards. Do you remember the bulletin boards? Let's just stay up all night on the bloody bulletin board. Why is All Shorts being kicked off? Well, they said he was putting up pornographic stuff. He wasn't. He was putting up like lewd, kind of like carry on laughing kind of style, carry on films, kind of style stuff. But yeah, I don't know. YouTube are a pain in the arse, to be honest with you. And I'm probably going to get demonetized for saying this, but they demonetize all of the videos. All the videos that me and Phil have done live on this channel have been demonetized for the first 24, 48 hours. So we don't make any money out of them. And that's when everyone watches them. It's very, very frustrating. And one of the reasons why I'm trying to do more moments of truth, I want to try and get up to a point where I'm doing 2 or 3 of them a day and get them really short. And the reason for that is not just to entertain you, because obviously that's what we're here for, give you engaging and informative content. But also, yeah, it's the only way to get around the algorithm. Because when we're doing the live stuff, it's great, we get super chats. But yeah, if we do a live show, we don't get any super chats and the YouTube block it for advertising. We've basically spent half an hour of our time or longer doing a show that makes like, I don't know, £2. So yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. So we're trying to get away around it. I've been online since '97, computer server and all that. Wow, that's nearly 30 years, mate. People just like AI, words automatically arranged logically or illogically, depending on political programming, bypasses brain, less effort. Yeah, indeed. Well, listen, I'm feeling positive about AI. A little bit of trepidation, but in general, I'm feeling like it could be good. I'm Flint Reed saying thanks, Graham. Good show as ever, mate. Right, I'll let you go and listen to James O'Brien. If you want to listen to James O'Brien with me, I'm going to be heading over to the Discord server now. If you are a YouTube member or a patron, you will have access. You should have access to the Discord server. If you don't, please get in touch with me. Let me know, and I will sort that out for you. But until 1 o'clock, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your wonderful comments. You make this show what it is, because honestly, half an hour of me just talking to myself would be it would get tedious. It will get tedious, believe me. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to all of my YouTube members and all of my patrons for Labour Social. And I will say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.